Nobody's
give it a rest.
any.
Nobody supports them.
I feel like a lot of Ferrari fans would say that Charles Leclerc is clear of Carlos.
Yeah.
I disagree with that.
Hold on. Listen, this is good now.
Go on.
Alonso at Red Bull, Max at Mercedes, Hamilton at Ferrari.
Yeah, it'd be strong.
Come on, bring it on, man.
Let's
Come on.
calm down a little.
We need some cracks.
Hello and welcome to On Track GP right here on DR Sports. We've had a week off, but this week we are back and we are in Japan.
Japan, baby.
Joining me is
I said that.
joining me is Joey, if you want to keep sticking with that.
Stick with that.
And Robbie, of course. Guys, I'm excited for the Japanese Grand Prix. Love it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Great circuit. Really technical. Really difficult. Unforgiving. Abrasive surface.
Oh.
It's gonna be strong. I'm looking forward to it.
Talked it up a lot. Do you feel the same way, Rob, about Suzuka?
Yeah, no. The reason I'm feeling so, really into it was the fact that the result that we had in the last race, where it wasn't Verstappen who won, gives a lot more. There's a lot of anticipation going into this now. Can Sainz and the Ferraris pull off another win?
Yes.
Or will Verstappen come roaring back? I think this is what we needed in F1. We needed, as I said, as horrible as it sounds, we did need Verstappen to lose.
Yeah.
And how does he react now?
Well, hopefully the car is sorted out, and then we should be fine. We should be back on track, GP.
Nice.
But before we get into all the stuff about Suzuka, just some news that's kind of come out today, which is F1's owners, Liberty Media. They have announced and they have purchased MotoGP World Championship, the highest level of motorcycle Grand Prix racing from Dorna Sports. It's a deal valued at 4.2 billion, so a cheap one.
A lot of money,
What's your thoughts on that purchase?
I guess their plan is going to be to do what they've done with F1, which they have made it. They've made F1 very profitable. Particularly the real game changer was Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
You've got to imagine they're going to do something similar. Look to make a series about it, because I'm not really, to be honest with you, that much into my bikes. I can only really name like Valentino Rossi is that guy, very famous racer. But if they do what they did with Drive to Survive, we could all be naming however many drivers there are on bikes in a couple of years.
We're going to become experts in MotoGP.
Yeah, MotoGP is huge as well.
It is
It's
massive.
really huge. Like, especially, most people that are into their bikes and are really into that. It's like you said. It's like guys like us. We don't know the names apart from the real obvious ones. And maybe if they can start to do that, where they sort of are able to tell us a bit more about the sport, tell us a bit more about the characters in it. That could be the thing, just a real game changer for it. The one thing I would say, when I watch that, I'm always marveling at how the speed they go and the way they dip down when they go around corners. It's ridiculous to me. I'm just like, how would somebody even think? You got to be so brave to do that.
Yeah.
I know you got to be brave to be an F1 driver, but to do that on two wheels.
Their knees skidding along the floor at
crazy.
150 miles an hour.
It's crazy, and I've always said I'd like to go to one. I've never been to one. I'd like to go to one. So them taking it over might be a really good thing. It might be a real game changer.
It'll be great for MotoGP. Will be buzzing because they've seen the success that they've had with F1. So if they can make that sport, Liberty Media are not stupid. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like them that much, and they've made people say made it too commercialized, too American, but ultimately they've made the sport more profitable and more people are watching it. If they can do the same for MotoGP, then good for the sport.
I feel like it's just a matter of time before we start seeing IndyCar as well being involved in that, which is obviously huge in America. I think that will be the next one to come, but why not? It's just another sport to watch, another sport to get into if we're not already into it. And I look good on them. They know what makes money, and more money in the sport. I know people who might have always grown up and always been into MotoGP might not like it, but more money means better races at the end of the day, doesn't
The
it?
purists might be anti it, but I'm very much not an expert on it at all, but I think overall, if they're pumping money into a bit of sport, then good for them. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely. MotoGP fans, if you're watching, let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments. But back to the Japanese Grand Prix. It is the Suzuka circuit. Suzuka has hosted the Japanese Grand Prix every year since 1987, apart from 2007-2008, when it was hosted at the Fuji Speedway. It's the only figure of eight circuit on the current F1 calendar. 2024 marks the earliest Japanese Grand Prix that has been on the calendar, with the event usually taking place towards the end of the season, but it's got a new position for for April between Australia and China as F1's attempts to regionalise the calendar and host races together within the same region, which does make more sense.
Makes sense.
You obviously mentioned at the start of the show you really like this.
I love it.
You love this circuit.
Love the circuit.
The figure of 8 factor.
Yeah.
What can we be looking for?
I mean, it's a really difficult and very technical circuit. I think it flies a little bit under the radar, but I think it's actually one of the, it's definitely in my top 3 tracks. It's one of the best racing tracks. It's almost been unchanged since. I mean, they've made little changes, but they basically remained unchanged from the beginning. So you've seen like Senna and Prost were racing on it there. And it's as we said, there's not much room for error. If you go off, you're having a crash. It's difficult. It's fast. They've got those wonderful S bends, which are just a marvel to look at an F1 car gripping. And yeah, and as I say, it's the figure of 8, so it crosses over. It's a great circuit, and I would love to. I think it's going to go Red Bull's way quite. I don't think we're going to see this week. I think this circuit really suits that car. I think throughout there'll be other tracks where Ferrari are going to be that team that challenges them, but I get the sense that this is quite a nice track for Red Bull.
What makes you say that?
Well, you saw how well Max did last year. I mean, his quali lap last year was just like beautiful. I think they're going to be back with vengeance, obviously, as well. And it's a track that suits them.
And it's the fact that like any track with lots of corners suits that Red Bull car.
18, I think.
Once again,
18.
as I said, it's that car. I was sort of saying it last week. It's the aerodynamics that makes that car so good, right? So it corners at speed, and the way to get out of corners much better than everybody else. So it is a track that suits, Verstappen, but he'd be under a bit of pressure after the last race. Listen, he would have hated the fact that he lost, and also it's then in the back of your mind about the reliability of the car. Remember that?
I don't think Max is thinking that.
No, but don't you think it might be at the back of his mind, the reliability of this car? Could this car, he's done it because, we've seen it a lot of times. He's done it once, a car that's been ultra reliable, and then all of a sudden you start having little
start to show.
Yeah,
All right, let's
Come on.
calm down a little bit.
We need some cracks.
Honestly, it's not cracks starting to show. They had a new power unit. They had the first DNF, and in 2 years. So I'm not worried. As a Red Bull fan, I'm not worried. I think Max will be there extra hungry.
Little issues are starting to appear.
No issues.
Plus, as well, all the stuff going on behind the scenes.
It's all gone quiet. Listen, it's all died down. It's all
still
gone
little
quiet.
bits rumbling.
We're not worrying about it anymore. We're focused, making sure the car is right. Power unit's all good. And I don't think that this is worrying Max one bit. I think he's hungry to get back on there. He will not like the fact that he obviously had to sit out last race. And I think he'll be super hungry for it.
Start it up.
Could be.
You're lucky. Your car's been giving you problems. I mean, perfect. And then you start it up, and the next time you're like,
he's got a key in it.
I know, you don't have a key in it. Right? You start the car up, and you go, it don't sound the same. Like
something going on there. Yeah,
something's like.
Well, look, there are obviously things that are going on.
We need that
within the Red Bull garage. Okay, I feel like it's died down in terms of the Horner situation, but I don't necessarily think it's a happy camp.
It's not a happy camp.
There's obviously speculation over the future of Max. There's speculation over Adrian Newey. And obviously Australian GP weekend, Chief Mechanic Lee Stevenson, he also departed the team, who was pretty much the number one mechanic on Max's car. But I think it'll be a case that if push comes to shove, I think Horner goes. So
interesting. You think Horner would go over
Max?
Over Helmet and Max. Yeah. It depends how they get ousted, because they've been bought by a company that owns like now 51%, and the 51% owners back Horner more than they do Helmet.
But I think if it comes down to it, you're losing Helmet and you're also losing Max Verstappen. I mean, me as a Red Bull fan, I'd say see you later, Christian. Like no question.
Still got the best car though, and if you're not losing Adrian Newey, and you still got the best car,
he's the winner, isn't he?
Yeah,
you can't lose him.
You can then go and get Lewis Hamilton's a great driver, but at the moment he's not doing anything because his car's not.
Do you know what? The car
is very important.
I will actually agree with you that I think not about Max and how he'll perform this weekend, but I think it'll be very telling this weekend what happens in terms of inside that garage. And if the Red Bull doesn't perform for whatever reason, then I think that Christian Horner is more on the line than he probably would like to think he is.
Can I throw something in, right?
Go on.
Max Verstappen, driver, absolutely unbelievable, as we know. Is he a sort of superstar? I just talk about his charisma and everything. So he's a superstar because he's winning it. He's in a great car. He's a fantastic driver. But charisma-wise, if say he left and Red Bull bought in,
could be Alonso, could be Sainz,
a Lando Norris or
Norris,
somebody like that who would have that more charisma and the potential that you can mold him into a real superstar. Could Red Bull look at him and think, well, they've got the best car?
I suppose it's like a profitability.
Just thinking about it, you know what I mean? It's just,
I think that if you're winning championships, I think that it doesn't get more profitable than that at this stage. It's like saying, you can put that. That's why they put Danny Ricciardo in the car. For that factor. But at the end of the day, you want the best driver. Yeah. And Max Verstappen is by far the best driver,
but you could get drivers that are getting up there.
Yeah.
I think I'd love. I've said before, I'd love Lando to be in there, but you're not going to say, okay, actually, we'll let Max go.
No, I'm not saying to, and I'm not saying to let him go. I'm just saying with all what's going on and all these rumours linking him with Mercedes and stuff like that.
He's not going to Mercedes.
And when you're saying about people going,
he's just not going to Mercedes.
Could the owners possibly look at it and say, all right, you know what? He's not expendable. I mean, if he's going to go, he goes. We bring in somebody with a bit more.
He's not going to Mercedes. There's no belief in this car. There's no way that Max, who is winning championships, is going to say, actually, I'm going to take a step down at the minute. I'm going to go to Mercedes, where Lewis has basically binned it off and said, fuck that, I'm going to Ferrari. Yeah. There's not a chance that Max, a current world champion, is interested in going to Mercedes at the moment. Yeah, but if we're talking about that all this hoo-ha is going to lead to him leaving, he's not going to Mercedes.
It could all change.
Absolutely
at
not.
Mercedes, though. It's like, even Horner was saying, I can't fire myself, but I need to be thinking about it. He's in a difficult position because he's an owner, not just a team principal as well. But I think there could be massive change coming up.
Yeah, but he's not going to take the risk of Sainz. It's different. Sainz is different. He goes to Mercedes in his first driver, same as if Max went, right? But Sainz has been forced out of Ferrari because of the Lewis thing. Max isn't being forced out. If he chooses to go, I cannot see him going to a team where the car is in such terrible shape.
Yeah. It would be a weird decision, but if it's a falling out and he doesn't want to be there anymore, Mercedes is definitely the next sensible choice because McLaren aren't going to open up. You can't go to Aston Martin.
Audi's not for ages.
Hold on, there was a rumour linking Adrian Newey with Aston Martin, isn't it? Saying
that'd be mad.
That would be
saying that Stroll would try and get him, and we know Stroll's got the money.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So if he went there and then maybe Max to follow.
Alonso to Red Bull and Max to Aston. And we've still got Lance Stroll just chilling.
Max driving alongside Lance Stroll.
Do me a favour.
Do me a favour. Oh, God. Can you imagine the delta between them?
I can't. Anyway, let's move on from Red Bull. Time will tell. Time will tell what's going to happen, and especially this weekend. But I want to talk about Ferrari because obviously last time out it was Carlos Sainz taking home the podium, #1 spot. Nice, also for Charles Leclerc. Yeah. He joked after his win at Melbourne that he's still jobless, but he knows the victory will help him. Absolutely, we've spoken about Sainz so many times, praising him, and we still think he's going to end up probably at Mercedes.
I think he could go
Red Bull. Second seat.
Depends what happens with Max, doesn't it? But he's got to go somewhere. He's the only one that's won a race apart from Max.
I agree. God knows how long. Yeah,
it's I mean,
only one to win one last year.
I'm still not sure that Ferrari have made the right decision by binning him off.
Either.
I think he's brilliant. He's a proper race driver. He's not like just an electric quali guy. He races so well, and his craft is so good. I mean, it's criminal that he hasn't got. He will end up at the seat, of course. He will. It could be Mercedes, could be Ferrari, and some people even saying could go to stake.
No. Well, no. The link to the stake, don't take it out of context, is because of the Audi thing in 26. But I'm not sure he would do that for.
Oh, don't do that. Waste a year of your career. It would
be a waste. Charles Leclerc said that many team principals will absolutely be considering Carlos Sainz. He's had a brilliant start. And Fred Vasseur has actually had a lot of praise from Toto Wolff for his success with Ferrari so far. And he said that the team do not make mistakes. And me to continue to not make mistakes and making steps to continue the team's improvement. This is something we always said about Ferrari year in, year out for a long time, that they suffered from, late pits and things like that, strategy and, just not being at it when it came to the stops. This season and even last, they have managed to sort that out, haven't they?
Yeah, like you said, new management and it's definitely working. And they've got a good car. Still, always I think there's still slightly them reliability issues. But they've got a good car, and they're, I'm thinking, I really would love to see him win again. Because as I said, just for I'm thinking for F1 overall. Number one, it's always great to see Ferrari winning, but number two, just to give Max a bit of competition, and they're the ones at the moment that are pushing. But the only thing I caution and say, they started last season like this as well. Do you remember?
Yeah.
They
had a strong start, Ferrari.
They started off well last season and they fell away. This season, can they sort of sustain that throughout the season and always be pushing that Red Bull?
Well, Charles Leclerc is only 4 points off Max in the Drivers' Championship at the minute.
Yeah.
I mean, coming into this, I mean, obviously we're very early on in this season, but we've spoken a lot about Carlos Sainz and not very much about Charles Leclerc.
Well, that's slightly tainted, isn't it? Because Sainz would be, you'd assume, top of the drivers if he hadn't had his appendix ripped out and Ollie Behrman had to step in. Sainz would be at the top. He did really well. So I think, as you say, it is so early, but it does seem as though if anyone's going to be able to fight the Red Bulls and specifically Max, it's going to be the red Ferrari. And at circuits like, I think Monaco could be one where we see another Ferrari win. Maybe Hungary, but I just get the feeling that Red Bull are going to dominate it this week in Japan.
Okay. Mercedes, we all know that Lewis Hamilton has been extremely critical of the team start to season as well as the car. He said it's the absolute worst season he's ever had, worse than his torrid start with McLaren in 2009. Former team boss Eddie Jordan, he's actually blasted the FIA's decision to penalise Fernando Alonso over the George Russell incident that we saw last time out. It was a very severe penalty. You said you agreed with the penalty though.
I did say that, 20 seconds, mostly because like the severity of the crash, how he ended up stuck there. Now, I don't think you can actually blame Alonso fully for the crash, but I think they're using Alonso as an example there. Really, you don't do that because this is what happens. It is a harsh penalty, but I think ultimately I do agree it is a correct penalty.
Well, you're a Mercedes fan, Rob. So what are we expecting from them this weekend? Because Lewis just keeps moaning, which I get. It's a crappy car, but you know you're going to Ferrari next year, so just enjoy your last season in the car and just enjoy your last season at Mercedes. All he's done is be critical. Is that affecting his performance on the grid every week?
I think it is. I don't kind of like what he's doing at the moment because he's always been that guy that's always, you know, you see him win races, he talks about the team first and, you know, and it sort of strikes of, you know, you're going, so now you're having digs. Of course he's right, the car's been really poor, but it's been a lot better when George Russell's been driving.
Well, absolutely. George has managed to get a lot more out of the car.
Got to start looking at him and saying, well, you're not really delivering. You know what I mean? Qualification's been awful. Is he really focused on the job? I just can't believe how bad he's been recently. Is he focused, or is it the fact that he's going to, you know, Ferrari next year? You know what I mean? I always use these football analogies. When you've got a player who knows he's off, you know, sometimes, you know, you don't get the same performance.
He did have a DNF last time, so we will take that into account. But
that's true. But his qualifcation was awful.
Yeah, the qualifying was terrible. P11. You know, coming into this one, does he have to start pulling his socks up and just showing a little bit of competitive team spirit? Because even if you are going, this is a team you've been with a very long time. Yeah. All your championships have been won here, right? You need to just show a little bit of thanks back. The car is not where you want it to be. Mercedes aren't where anyone thought they would be or expects them to be. But you also just bow out on a humble one. You know, not throwing your toys out the pram.
The whole thing that he's gone is really interesting because there's obviously something that he's seen with the development of the car moving forward, thinking, you know, I'm about to turn 40. How many years really have I got left in the sport
Probably
to
5,
win and get an eighth? Yeah. Mercedes clearly, from what he is seeing, don't have the resources to be able to provide him with a car that he could win an 8th championship with. So he's off, and what he's seeing at Ferrari is obviously very positive, whatever they're telling him. So it does feel that this is a bit of a wasted year. Some people would argue that, Lewis is there's a reek of petulance about the way that he's acting and just been, it's rubbish. But I kind of agree with him. Like, you know, he's so good and he's been given this terrible car. I'd be in a bit of a strop.
I get that, but at the same time, you're not even getting into Q3 on quali, right?
Have you ever been go-karting and you get given the crap car? You do get in a strop, and that's at go-kart. Imagine what he's like in the world stage.
I do understand that aspect, but at the same time, like, it's not like he didn't have a great season last year.
No, he did finish it.
At the end, he finished it all right as the car got a little bit better, but he didn't have a great season, and he hasn't started off well in this one. And we are talking about George Russell being out of the two, he's getting more out of the car.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing.
You can't just have like a really crappy year this year and then just turn up to Ferrari.
And he's a lot worse than Russell at the moment, and that's why.
Is that because of the petulance, or is that because of the driving?
Yeah, it just
I don't know if he's a lot worse than Russell. I think
he was in the last race. Well, I know they both DNF'd,
yeah.
But Russell was on the verge of coming in third.
Fourth? Was it fourth?
Yeah, just off the
coming
bat.
in fourth, right? You know, look at his qualification was awful. It just doesn't seem the same Lewis to me. I know the car's not as good, but he don't seem like the same guy at the moment that we all know.
And also, if he goes to Ferrari, and let's say he has a really poor year this year and has a poor year at Ferrari, then after Sainz, hope maybe having a really good year.
No, I don't think he will, though. I think when he goes to Ferrari, he'll be rejuvenated.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think there's going to be a whole new energy. I mean, the amount of merch Ferrari, 44
wild.
merch that Ferrari are going to sell. Oh my God, they're going to make so much money.
Well,
and there's just going to be a buzz. There's going to be such a buzz when he gets there. World champion, is he going to be the guy that leads us back to get our first championship in about 7.5 decades, it feels like? Please, God, Lewis, do it. Please.
But on the here and now, he's not having a great season.
No.
McLaren. Zach Brown has revealed that the team has plans for upgrades coming in Miami, and he hopes it will help bring some more podiums for the team. Andrea Stella, team principal, has been praising Oscar Piastri for his improvements lately. He said that the tyre management, despite the earlier stops in Melbourne, was also another positive. So I think we always praise McLaren week in, week out. Two great drivers, working in unison together. Nice of Piastri to let Lando go in front.
Keeps letting him through, doesn't he?
Yeah, keeps letting him through. Team player. Not sure how long it's going to last for, but really good. And I'm looking forward to seeing the upgrades. They've had a much stronger start than they did last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they were so slow at the beginning, remember? And then they brought that upgrade package and became the second quickest car. Who do you think's a better pairing? The McLaren boys or the Ferrari boys? Who's stronger? I'd go for the Ferrari. They've won
I think
races.
they're more, funnily enough, I feel like they're more evenly matched at McLaren.
What, you think the two are closer?
I think Lando and Oscar are much closer.
Yeah, than
personally.
Charles and Carlos.
Well, yeah, I do.
You think Carlos is much better?
I feel like it's undetermined. I mean, I feel like a lot of Ferrari fans would say that Charles Leclerc is clear of Carlos.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I don't. But I think that between Oscar Piastri and Lando, I don't think there's much in it, personally. Just my opinion.
Not a lot in between Leclerc and Sainz either. But
Ferrari fans think there are.
I don't know why.
I don't either. But
the stats say the opposite. The stats say Carlos is
better driver.
He's the only one really good.
I'm very excited to see what they've got in Miami. But how do you think they'll fare on this track?
McLaren. Yeah, I think again third quickest team behind Ferrari. I don't think we'll see them on a podium. I think if things go well, it will be a Red Bull 1-2 for them. So I don't think we'll quite see them on the podium. But you've got to imagine solid, fifth, sixth, maybe a fourth. If they get a strategy right and manage to split the Ferraris or something, I think they'll be good, but I don't think they're gonna win anything.
But just being in the points for McLaren, until they get those
double pointer
upgrades.
would be a good week.
Aston, and we touched on it earlier, that Lawrence Stroll is very eager to try and get Adrian Newey to join his team. It's really to keep Alonso come the end of the season, which I just don't think that's going to happen.
Where do you think
in
he'd
my
go
opinion,
if Alonso left?
Oh, Mercedes maybe. Yeah.
That's
a bit old, I think. I guess.
Second.
So I'll say about the big name.
Second seat.
The big name in a car thing,
Second seat
or
at
Red Bull he could go to. Can you imagine?
Red Bull.
Second seat.
Alonso at Red Bull. That'd be mad.
Alonso
the dogs in that car.
We know that Checo's going to be
Max and Alonso.
Do you know what? Right.
Could you imagine?
That's a great shout, isn't it? Alonso there.
They would be horrible to fight They'd be absolute
Yeah,
dogs.
but what, with Max?
No,
The two-
replacing Max.
Yeah, no. Oh, you
No.
think I was
Oh, you
thinking
said
with
with
Max.
I'm thinking if say Max did move to say Mercedes,
Yeah.
It's not the longevity that Red Bull
Alonso
would want,
comes
though.
in there.
If Alonso was coming, it would be for a
Alonso
second
at
seat,
Red
in my
Bull.
opinion, to replace Checo.
Yeah.
No,
And
hold
keep
on.
Max.
Listen, this is good now.
Go on.
Alonso at Red Bull, Max at Mercedes, Hamilton at Ferrari.
Yeah, it'd be strong.
Come on,
wouldn't it?
bring it on, man. I want to. That's what I want to see.
That would be strong.
That's what I
If
want
Drive
to
to
see.
Survive is writing it, we might see it.
Yeah,
We
literally.
might see it.
Come on. Yeah, I like the sound of that.
I'm into that.
Musical cheers.
It'll be silly season. It'll be honest. A couple of
yes,
months, it'll go mad. It'll go absolutely
You
mad.
never
with all the
know.
contracts.
Put your bets on it. Maybe it will happen.
Yeah.
Alpine, they're another one just
Oh,
flailing
God.
at the minute.
It's awful.
Obviously, we've spoken about before the numerous sports stars and celebrities that have invested. Pierre Gasly has also decided to invest, but in a football team.
Has he? Mm-hmm. Who?
He has invested into French football club FC Versailles.
I've never heard
I
of
think he
him.
should be investing more in his driving at the minute, in my
Invest in
opinion.
the car. God,
My
that thing's
humble
awful.
opinion. Anthony Davidson, former F1 driver, has said that Alpine's recent downfall is due to treading water too long in the midfield. That wasn't
interesting.
really what we thought would happen, especially when Otmar was there. We kind of thought that season where Piastri went to McLaren was a big shock to them. Obviously Alonso as well. And I think that we thought they would be where McLaren are. And it just hasn't happened. Just hasn't. And I don't really know what to say about Alpine other than we just keep repeating ourselves. Not at it.
Yeah.
Don't know why they're not at it. A lot of investment gone into it. Going to have to start seeing some return. Not fancying the French driver lineup. It's
Really bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, I mean, they're slower than Haas, which is mad.
which is saying something.
Haas have actually done quite well, to be fair. They've fixed out their tyre.
They've got that dog in them.
I know, but yeah, Alpine is horrible. Oh
Yeah.
God, that can't be a happy place. At the minute.
Do you think out of Alpine, I'm going to put Aston in this as well. Aston, Alpine, Williams, Haas, RB, and the Stake/Sauber.
Yeah.
Any of these cars can have a good weekend. Is there any way that we see top 8 finishes for any of them? Maybe the Aston at best.
Probably the Aston, simply because of Alonso. The Williams is quite quick in a straight line. Maybe Monza, something like that. But it does feel that there's, I'm going to include Mercedes, 4 and then 6.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like those top 8 places you think should be taken the majority of the time. So really, there's only 2 point places
2
up
point places.
for how many? 12 drivers. So it's kind of wild, really. I thought that actually the RB would be better this season.
It basically was it was a Red
Part
Bull,
2,
yeah.
but it doesn't seem particularly quick. Yuki's doing a much better job than Ricciardo, who I think could be in
I think
serious
he's in
trouble
serious
soon.
trouble.
Particularly if he has a poor couple of weekends now in Japan and then into China. There's rumours that like he's only got until Miami to prove it, but Helmut Marko actually came out and said that's not true. He has as long as he needs. But no, it's a classic case. No smoke without fire. People are already starting to say that after 3 races. I think he could be in serious trouble.
Yep, I think so too. We'll just quickly round off the rest of the teams. Williams team principal Jane Vowles said that he's confident both cars will be ready to race in Japan after obviously the incident in Melbourne where Alex Albon had to race Logan Sargent's car and
Nick's car.
Logan had to sit that one out because of the 2 chassis problem. Be good to see them both on the grid. Not that Logan Sargent really makes a difference, but still. Haas, a former team boss Günther Steiner, love Günther, said it was wrong for the team to downplay their 2024 chances after scoring points in Jeddah and Melbourne. They have looked much better. They've got this new system where they play dirty. No one likes it. And it's, a point is a big thing for a Haas, isn't it? So are you okay with them kind of the way that they defend and it's a little bit dirty on the grid?
It's great.
If it gets them over the line.
We need this drama in F1. We need different types of strategies. I like it.
We know that the Hulk is probably the better driver out of the 2, especially on a one lap
Feels
pace.
it.
So be interesting to see how he does this weekend.
Yeah, again, well, this is quite a deggy circuit, so it's going to put their...
Not great for the Haas.
It's going to, well, it seems to be better this season. They're not killing their tyres as much, but it'll be interesting. This will be a good race to put to the test. I'll tell you what, it's also really good. It's actually going to... This race will show us who's really had a good winter, because it was so late in the season last year and so early. It's the same track. It's almost identical to how it was last year. So it will really show
who's improved.
How were they last year? How were they this year? Who's improved? Who's gone backwards? Alpine will get smacked, I think, this weekend.
I'm sure.
Absolutely smacked. So yeah, it's quite a nice little parallel that wasn't that long ago to see how they've done over the
to
season.
see the balance. RB, another difficult weekend in Melbourne for them. As you mentioned, Danny Rick, it's been said he's got 2 races to sort out his performances. Obviously Yuki being much more dominant, but whether or not that's the case, who knows. But it'd be really good to see Liam Lawson come into that seat. And finally Sauber, what are we calling them this week? Is it steak? Is it kick? Is it Sauber?
Where is it? Is it
what are we
legal?
calling them?
It depends if
We're
gambling
in Japan.
is legal.
Can you gamble in Japan?
I've literally no idea.
Well, I've got Sauber here, so we'll call them Sauber this week.
All right.
Sauber kick steak.
Yeah.
Chips.
Yes, steak and chips. That's who they are. Again, they had issues last week, didn't they? Valtteri is hoping that the issues will be fully resolved for Japan. He said the incident in the pit stop was frustrating for him. And again, he was actually running in the points in Melbourne.
I hate it
until the pit stop. Pit stop basically sent him to the back of the grid. I'm here for him doing something. I'd quite like to see the Sauber /kick/steak.
Who's a fan of that car? Who goes,
Not
I love
me.
F1. I'm a fan of Kick. I love wearing the green hat.
If there is
Give it a rest.
any-
Nobody supports them.
Well, no one ever supported Alfa Romeo as well. Like,
But even Alfa Romeo have like a car history.
Yeah.
I winds me up every time I think about it.
Like, let's get Joey a hat.
get you a
t-shirt,
green kick.
The green kit.
Oh.
I'd love to see you in
I'll
that.
tell you what, if they score a point this weekend, I'll wear a Kick hat on the pod.
I mean, he knows that it's probably not going to happen.
Not going to
so-
happen. I hate it. That's the thing. They haven't got fans. They're not.
You
What
got
are they?
no fans.
No, but you know one thing, they stand out, don't they?
Yeah, for the wrong reasons,
Yeah.
for being slow and ugly.
Looks like
That's not what you
flubber.
want to stand out for.
Flubber on the grid. All right, guys. Before we wrap, just want to get your top 3 for the weekend.
Red Bull 1-2, Carlos. I'm assuming not Checo first. Max.
We haven't even bashed Checo this
Max
week.
Checo, and let's go for Carlos.
Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz.
Wow,
Ooh,
nice. I love that.
I'm going to match you. I'm going to
Wow.
go match in a different way. I'm going to go Max, Carlos, Charles,
I'd love it.
and I'm going to go Checo, P4.
Okay.
But again, we didn't bash him this week.
Mm.
You've had a
He's
week
no
off.
bashing,
But
so
we're always watching you. We're always keeping Checo in check.
I'm watching you.
I'm
Rosowski.
watching you. Guys, thank you very much. I will see you next week where we can round up everything from the weekend, what will happen in Japan. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Robbie.
Pleasure.
And thank you to all of you for joining us right here on Track GP. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and catch us every week right here on DR Sports.